Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TradeStation Getting Started. Today, we are going to talk about the TradeStation desktop. But before we get started, let's do the usual introductions and disclosures. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation. So my job here at TradeStation is to develop educational content to help you use our technology and have you focus on what you do best, which is trading the markets. Today, we're going to highlight one of our platforms, which is the desktop. As a TradeStation user, you have access to multiple ways in which you can trade. You have the desktop, which is the highlight of today's presentation, but you also have the web trading platform and the mobile apps, which we also talk about in our Getting Started classes. So make sure that you join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. for additional information on those classes as well. Every class is recorded, by the way. So if you miss a class, that class is usually recorded and posted on the TradeStation YouTube channel. So make sure that you check the channel periodically for those posts. Usually it takes us about a couple days to get the presentation edited and routed through the compliance department. And once we have a good copy to share with everyone here, then it's going to be posted in the TradeStation YouTube channel. So make sure that you go there constantly so that you can see what's new on the education side. Let's go and go through some disclosures. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about is for educational purposes only, that these are not recommendations of TradeStation, also that active trading is not suitable for everyone, and that past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. For additional information on these disclosures, go to www.tradestation.com/important-information. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for taking time to join me in this class. And let's go ahead and highlight some of the features of the TradeStation platform. So let me switch over here to the desktop. I'm not sure how long you've been using TradeStation, but this is how TradeStation launches when you first open it. You're looking at a workspace that we call the TradeStation Today workspace. And when you first install TradeStation, it opens up automatically after you log in, of course. If you don't remember where you put this workspace, it's always going to be available from the apps menu, and you find a TS Today button here at the very top. So you can always refer to that button if you want to open up the TS Today workspace. What we do here in the TS Today is that we compile education on the left-hand side. We have a list here of quick starts that highlight multiple applications within the desktop. We have a news feed right here in the middle, and we have our upcoming events here on the right-hand side. So this is a good way for you to know what is happening at TradeStation at any given moment. The events that you find here within the TS Today workspace are also the same ones that you find on the events page. So if you already have that page bookmarked, then use that. That's the one we update more frequently. But you can always refer to this events section on the right-hand side to register for any upcoming classes. Let's see. So, and at the bottom left here, you also have some workspaces. These are workspaces that are shipped with the TradeStation desktop, not necessarily because they're great, it's just a way for us to give us, or to give you, an example on how these workspaces are set up. Some of these are based on trading profiles, like a day trader or a futures trader or an options trader. So if you're having difficulties getting started or getting a visual of what a full workspace would look like, you can use that as an example. And then you can use those same workspaces and modify them and make them your own, save them with a different name. So they're there for that purpose, just to help you out getting your desktop set up if you need the help. And over here at the bottom right, you have the What's New section. So every so often, our engineers will release a new version of the TradeStation platform. And this place right here at the bottom right is just a box where we document everything that has been added, fixed, and implemented into the TradeStation, the newest version of TradeStation. Let me go ahead and open up a new workspace. And I'm going to do that coming down here at the bottom left and clicking on this plus. Every time you need a new workspace, just click there. You can see that on the TradeStation desktop, you're going to have multiple tabs opened at the bottom. As you open new workspaces, you'll have these tabs that you can click on and switch back and forth between. It helps you organize your work. because I mean, you definitely cannot fit everything in just one view. So a lot of times you may want to have those additional tabs for organization. So in this new workspace that I just created, I'm going to open up a chart and click on chart analysis. It should load up the last symbol that I was looking at. I was looking at Tesla. You can see that the symbol gets loaded automatically. Let me resize the chart here. All right, you see something particular about TradeStation charting right from the get-go. This chart has this open area on the right-hand side that I really, if I'm new, I wouldn't have expected to have this open space on the right-hand side. The reason for that is because TradeStation on a 5-minute time frame, which is the time frame of this chart, will load a specific amount of data just to make the chart load up faster. It'll give you 5 days of historical data, thinking that you're probably most interested in what's happening right now, not historically. However, you can request data to fill the chart up. So if that's the case, I mean, I can type in the request. You're going to see that a lot of the things that I'm customizing in the chart, I'm going to be doing by using the command line. TradeStation is responsive to keyboard commands, and I like to use a keyboard to send these commands over to TradeStation so that it's quicker. I mean, I think, I guess it's more like a preference thing, you know? You're going to choose what's quicker for you. I like to use the shortcuts. I like to use the command line, but you can definitely come here to the top and go, for example, to data and go to edit symbol. And then you can specify, you know, the amount of historical data that you want. Right here is set to 5 days. You know, I've gotten used to typing it in. So if I say 30 days, notice that I just used the keyboard. The command line pops up automatically. 30 days, which is what I typed, shows inside the command line. And all I need to do is hit the enter key and it'll take on my request, which is 30 days of historical data. So that's very, very useful. You know, the command line, I can use it for changing the symbol. For example, if I wanted to take a look at Apple instead, I just have to type in AAPL. Again, look at the symbol, goes inside the command line, I hit enter, and then I'm looking at a chart of Apple. I can also change the time frame using the command line. So instead of a 5-minute, let's say that I wanted to do a 60-minute chart, I can just type in the number 60. Notice that I just type in the 60 in there, hit enter, and then I'm looking at a 60 chart of Apple. Again, I have that same issue with a black area on the right-hand side. That's because on a 60-minute, I believe I only get 30 days of historical data. If I want more, I can type it in again, 6 months. You can do days, weeks, months, years, however you want to express that amount of historical data. You just have to type it in. You see, 6 months was not quite enough to fill the whole chart. Let's do 1 year. And then I have 1 year of 60-minute data for Apple right here on my chart. Those can be set as defaults. I would recommend, you know, thinking about the amount of data that you need, because if you always, and I say always because if you set it as a default, you'll always get this amount of data. So if you always need that amount of data, then it's fine. But the data is there, you know, on the TradeStation server, so you can always request it. In fact, once I load it on my chart, that data is automatically saved on my hard drive. So I don't necessarily have to request it from the server. But what I'm trying to say is that only set the defaults if you're always going to be using that amount of historical data. Most of the time, you know, if you're looking at a market, you're going to be focusing on what's happening right now. And what I did just now, which I didn't tell you that I was going to do, I wanted to expand the view, and I can do that with my keyboard as well, pressing the up arrow key. So if you press the up arrow key multiple times, you're going to be adding space in between those candles, and you'll be able to see more detail on the chart. If you want to do the opposite, just press the down arrow key on the keyboard, and the chart will compress and reduce the space between candles until it cannot go any further. So that way you can look at more historical data if that's your intention. So find the up arrow and the down arrow key on your keyboard, because those are going to be keys that are very useful. All right, let me read some questions here. By the way, my glasses broke, so I cannot wear them constantly, but sometimes I need them to read some text here. They broke this morning, so I'm trying to get a new one or a replacement. Wallet is asking, can I move one of these workspaces out of the desktop to another monitor, or I have to open another desktop on a different monitor? That's a good question, Wallet. TradeStation, when you install it, TradeStation recognizes how many monitors are connected to your computer. And during the installation, it'll ask you, do you want to install TradeStation, or not install? Do you want to open up TradeStation using all your monitors? And TradeStation will do that. It'll open a separate desktop on each one of those. The concept of desktop, it was created for those users that have multiple monitors. So you can have multiple instances of TradeStation on each one of your monitors. So that's the concept of desktop. You open up a desktop on each one of these monitors. So if you wanted to move a workspace out of a particular desktop, that is something that you cannot click and drag. Ideally, it'd be great, but what you need to do is you need to close that workspace on the workspace that you don't want it anymore. Then create a new desktop so it opens up on your second monitor, second or third monitor. And then from that new desktop, then you go ahead and open the workspace. The workspace can be opened up inside of any desktop you have in TradeStation. So they're kind of independent. Think of a desktop like the main container that holds the whole TradeStation platform. And a workspace is like a folder, that contains applications. So that folder can be opened up on this desktop. It can be opened up in a different desktop. So give that a try, and I'm sure that you'll benefit from that functionality. Another question here from the chat. Shafi, welcome to class. Yes, trail profit and stop using two contracts. We'll use that as an example. Shafi, thank you for that question. First exits at fixed determined profit, and the second trails at a distance to capture maximum profit less the distance. I think I got the description, so we'll try to do that example once we get over to the matrix. Okay. If I can open more than desktop on different monitor, can I have one open for live and another one for simulator? That's another good question, Wallet. And the answer to that is no. No, with a caveat. If you only have a TradeStation or one TradeStation username and one TradeStation password, meaning like a username and password combo, if you only have one of those, you can only be connected on one environment at a time. So you have to choose whether you want to connect to your live account or you want to connect to your simulated environment. So the question is about being connected to both environments at the same time, and TradeStation cannot do that. The reason for that is because of data entitlements. Every time that you connect to the TradeStation platform, whether it is simulated or live, TradeStation assumes that as not only TradeStation, but the data exchanges will see that as an individual terminal that is receiving real-time data. And they'll want to charge you additional fees for streaming real-time data on a different terminal. So that's the reason why we're not allowed to provide you, this flexibility of being connected on your live account and the simulator simultaneously. However, if you're okay with setting up a second login, a second username and password for your TradeStation, and our client services department can help you do that. If you have one of those, then, or a second one, then you can theoretically be connected on both computers at the same time. Now, you won't be able to have both environments connected on the same computer. That's something you cannot do because the desktop only runs once, and then you choose whether you want to be live or simulated. So if you want that setup where you're connected to a live account and a simulated account at the same time, then you're going to need separate computers to do that. Not only separate computers, but you also need separate or different TradeStation logins. Okay. For more information on that, contact client services. They'll tell you, what to do, what is the cost involved, because I'm sure there's going to be additional costs because of that same thing we talked about earlier, where you have a different terminal that's streaming real-time data, and exchanges are going to want to charge a fee for that. Edward, to open several charts on the same desktop, all you need to do is go to apps and click on chart analysis as many times as you need. So if I click on chart analysis a second time here, notice that I get another or a second chart window. And if I go to apps and click on chart analysis a third time, then I get a third chart. You see? Very easy. And if I go to the window menu, I have the ability to arrange those charts automatically. So if I say arrange my windows vertically, you'll see how it automatically arranges my windows, side by side here in this workspace. So it makes it very, very useful. Let me go ahead and click out of these additional charts that I don't need. All right, and open up this one. Okay, let me turn this into a daily chart. Charts in TradeStation will automatically give you what's called account orders and positions, meaning that you'll see all your trading activity on the chart. Wherever you bought, wherever you sold, will give you a marking on the chart. You can disable that if you'd like. I can right click on any of these arrows and say disable account orders and positions. And you can see how the information goes away. If you go to the settings menu up here, that's where account orders and positions is. And you can turn the status back on by just checking that checkbox, and then the information comes back. So at any moment, if you want to hide your trading activity from the chart, just right click on any one of those arrows and disable account orders and positions. You have all your drawings right here in the drawing menu. So let's say that I wanted to do a very quick price alert. Now, maybe I see that price activity for Apple was going up a few days ago. Then we had a little bit of a correction and is bouncing back up. I'm not sure where the price is going to go. So I may want to set some alerts here just so that I can monitor some prices. Maybe I want to monitor, the price activity up here and the price activity down here. But let me go here to the drawing menu, go to horizontal line, and I'm going to set one right here. And then do drawing again, horizontal line, and then do another one right here. I can see the prices right there, on the line. By the way, I've changed my defaults on that line just to fit my style. I made the font bigger, the color brighter. So if you double click on any of those lines that you draw, you have all those settings right here. You can change the style so that every drawing tool looks exactly the way you want, and set it as a default so you don't have to continuously change it, okay? So I can click and drag, and you can see that as I click and drag those lines, the price will adjust accordingly. If I want to have a little bit more precision on the price, you can double click, go to the data tab, and enter the price yourself. So if I wanted to do 217, let's see, 217 even. And then for this one, I want 207 even. I can enter those prices myself. So I don't have to, continuously be clicking and dragging and be concerned about the precision of my dragging, right? Those two lines I can double click and I can turn the alert on. Very quickly, I can just enable the alert, click OK, and do the same thing for the other one. Double click, enable alert, and then click OK. So now I have two levels right here on my chart that are turned on for alerts. And I can go on to something different. Let's say that I open up a new workspace down here. I can go to a different chart. By the way, the drawing tools or the lines that you draw in one chart will not show up on another. The drawings are exclusive to that chart. So even though I'm here on a new chart of Apple, I don't see those levels that I drew because this is a brand new chart. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But I can come back here to this other workspace and I see the two lines that I drew. So I can be working on something else, and those two levels will be monitored for me, and I'll be alerted if it reaches those levels. Let me go ahead and go back here to this other chart, and the same thing, the alerting can also be done with any technical indicator. If I go here to studies and I go to add study, we have a list of hundreds of different studies that you can add to your charting. And here, I'm going to go here to, let's say, moving averages. Let's say that I'm looking for moving averages, 2-line, and I'm going to click OK. You see how the 2 lines, they go right here on the chart. What I'm looking for on this indicator is for the lines to cross. Now, of course, I didn't supply the parameters that I wanted. Now, this is using the default parameters, which are, I believe, are 9 and 18. If you double click on those two lines, then it takes you to the customize indicator dialog, where I can go to the inputs tab and change the parameters. You have access to inputs on every study that you add on your TradeStation charts, and you can make them, calculate the way that you want. So if you want to have those periods increase, let's say to 30 and 60, you can change that if you wanted to. But additionally, I can go here to the alerts tab and enable the alert, so that if the two lines cross, I'm going to be alerted. Of course, I can choose how I want to be alerted. A lot of times I choose alert once per bar to avoid, tick after tick triggering alerts. And, I can configure my notifications, and I can just do the Windows beep or choose a specific sound. That would be the AUGA. We have a drop down with different sounds that you can play. And you also have a visual pop-up that you can modify or even configure that alert to be sending you an email if you wanted to do that, okay? That way, again, I can go to a different workspace, or I can be doing something different, and I can have all those alerts set up for me, and TradeStation will alert me if anything is happening. All right. All right. Well, it is asking an interesting question. The best way to add a volume to match the candles on the chart. Let's see, because when you go to studies and you add study, there are several volume studies that you can add. The one that I would choose to do that would be the volume average. So volume AVG, this one right here. So you probably added volume, which is okay, because volume will give you what it says there. It will give you volume. But volume average is already color coded based on the closing prices of the candles. Let me show you. Let me click OK. And OK. So whenever there is a closing price that is higher than the previous one, then the volume will be colored in blue. And when the closing price is less than the previous closing price, the volume bar will be red. Now, this doesn't necessarily match the color of the candle, because the candle, remember, the candle color is based on open to close. So if it closed higher, then it's a green candle. If it closed lower, then it's a red candle. The volume indicator right there at the bottom is coloring volume based on close to close, which is different than the candlestick pattern. So while if you're looking for volume color to match the color of the candle, it may need a little bit of calculation. So let me go here and see inputs. Yeah, up color. You can change the color here for the up color and down color. But again, this is close to close, not necessarily open to close. Let me see. Is there any other volume indicator that we can use? I'm going to go here to add study, volume down, custom. This custom one, inputs. No, this is different. This is different than. So technically, while it is possible, it requires a little bit of programming. But this one, the volume average, is very close to what you're looking for because it's color coded. Just be mindful that it doesn't follow the candlestick open to close. It follows the close to close kind of coloring. Okay. All right. So if we have some time, this is probably an exercise that we should bring into our leveraging easy language masterclass, but we can talk about that later. Okay. If you're still unable to do it and you're still wanting to, have that study or the volume, reach out to me via email, education@tradestation.com, and I'll see what I can find for you. Okay. Let's go over here and do some scanning. I'm going to show you some scanning because I think that's a feature that it's very useful on the TradeStation platform. Let me open up a new workspace, go to apps, and my favorite scanning tool is Radar Screen. This is a real-time scanner. We have a scanner here, the scanner app, which is more like an end-of-day scanner. Also very useful if you want to, filter the whole universe of stocks. But the real-time scanner is radar screen. Let me go here to radar screen. All right, let me go ahead and add a list of symbols. If you go to the data, the drop down, and you go to add symbol list, we have indexes components on this menu. If I select the NASDAQ 100, it'll add the 100 symbols that are in the NASDAQ. And in addition to that, I'm going to add the moving average 2-line indicator. Every technical study that you add on a chart can be added here on a spreadsheet format, on a table format, which makes this window very powerful, because these two calculated values, the fast average and the slow average, you usually see them on the chart. We saw them right here for Apple, the two moving averages, and we determined they were not crossing, but we set up an alert so that it would let us know when they cross. In radar screen, you can use that same idea and tell radar screen, well, I don't want to wait for anything that's crossing, or I don't want to wait for anything that crosses. I want to know what is crossing right now. So maybe you're looking for trading opportunities right now, and you want to filter by an indicator that you use to find those opportunities. In this case, we're just talking about something simple like a moving average. But if moving average is the basis that you use to find those trading opportunities, you can use that technical idea to find the stocks that you want to trade. So let me go ahead and move my chart in and open up actually, I'm just pushing my radar screen in, and I'm going to open up a chart. And this chart, I'm going to make daily. And I'm going to add the same study that I added on my radar screen, the moving average 2-line. There it goes. So let me remove some of the columns here that I don't need. I don't need the bid, the ask, the low. So that's good. Let me move my chart a little bit over. Okay, so let me remove these two top rows. I don't need them. Apple right here. You can see the fast average is 212 by 211. Those numbers don't match what I see here. I see 204 and 211. So what's up with that? Why are the numbers not matching? The numbers are not matching because the same way that you switch the time frame here inside of a chart, you have to switch it here also inside of radar screen. So what I'm looking at here for the moving averages are not moving averages based on daily bars. These are moving averages based on 5-minute bar. But if I highlight all this in, because you have to modify the symbols. So I'm going to click on the symbol header just to highlight all the symbols. And I'm going to go to the time frame drop down to select daily. That way you can see that interval has been switched all to daily. My moving average 2-line gets recalculated. And if I look at the values for my Apple averages, 211 and 204, which are exactly the two averages that are here on the right-hand side. So whenever you have, radar screen as a filtering tool, and you have a chart on the side, and you see the values are not matching, take a look at the interval, because you may have mismatch intervals, which of course give you different calculations. All right, so now to the next step, which is filtering. How do I find out which one out of all these 100 symbols are giving me an alert? I'm going to right click on the column here for moving average and edit the moving average 2 lines for all symbols. Notice that you can do this setting for the whole column. So I don't have to do this on each symbol individually. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to enable the alert. There is alert programmed into most studies that are part of the TradeStation platform. All you need to worry about is turning on the alert. That's it, because all the criteria is built into the study. I can choose how I want to be alerted. For this example, since I'm using it as a filtering tool, not necessarily as an alarm or, hey, this is happening, I'm going to disable messaging. Messaging meaning no sounds, no pop-up messages. And as you can see in parentheses, this is for use when scanning for alerts in radar screen, because what you're looking for is to filter by the alert, not necessarily, to get bombarded with alerts. So alert continuously, so it's real time, but no sounds, no pop-up messages. I'm going to click OK. And my column here, I'm not sure if you noticed, but there's a little yellow corner on the far right of the column for each one of the rows. And one symbol here at the bottom, this one, which is DoorDash, has a red marker. Do you guys see the red marker? The red marker means that there's a real-time alert happening for DoorDash as we speak. Let me link my two applications here. I'm going to link my chart to my radar screen so that I only have to click on the symbol on the chart and have the chart update. These little buttons at the top are my linking buttons that I can turn on. As long as they have the same color, they're linked. I can go to a drop down and select a different color if I want to. But now, since the two windows have that symbol link button turned green, I can click on dash right here and notice how it gets loaded right here on my screen. And I can take a look at the chart and see how the two lines are kissing right on the current bar. So that is a crossover. Although we did have a crossover just a few days ago, we have another one. So this would be considered more like a back-to-back crossover, not a very clean indication of where the trend may be headed. You can see that Dash has been trading a little bit kind of sideways, but still, you know, we got the alert and we're able to come here to the chart and make some additional analysis. And additional analysis is important because that's when you realize, okay, how robust is the signal? Is the signal really clear as a change in trend? So you have to use a combination of radar screen filtering and charting to find, you know, those strong signals that you're looking for. I can scroll down and see that I have multiple red markers. I have one for, what is this? FTNT, Fortinet. All right. And you can see that we have a crossover happening on the current bar. And similar to DoorDash, you know, we had several crossovers back to back for the past month or two, right? Let's see the next one. Here's Honeywell. Uh-oh. I clicked on the wrong one. It's not Honeywell. It is, what's that right here? IDEX Laboratories. And you can see that we have the crossover again. So anytime that you're looking for a technical idea alert, radar screen makes it very simple for you to do. One thing that I disabled was the filter bar at the top. Let me go here to settings and turn on my filter bar. Because with the filter bar, which is already turned on by you, you don't have to turn it on because you should see it at the top of your radar screen. But I can come here and say, I want you to filter by the moving averages, and I want the moving averages to have an alert true. And notice how my radar screen gets filtered, and it only displays the symbols that are giving me a real-time alert on the moving averages. So out of the 100 symbols that make up the NASDAQ 100 index, there are 6 that are giving me a real-time alert on that technical idea. Now, that technical idea can be anything you want. It can be something that is, you know, supplied with a TradeStation platform, like MACD, Bollinger Bands, RSI, whatever it is that you're looking for. You can filter your symbols using that technical idea, but you can bring your own as well. You know, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but TradeStation allows you to create custom studies and custom strategies that, well, strategies don't get applied to radar screen, but any custom study can be created and you can bring it in as a filtering mechanism inside your radar screen. All right. Scanning. Let's go over here to trading. I did say that I wanted to spend some time on trading. And let's go ahead and open up the matrix. I'm going to go and use an example here suggested by Shafi. So Shafi, and this is for everyone as well, you know, the same functionality that I'm going to show in this example can be used on any trade that you place on the platform. Shafi, question for you. Which order entry tool do you use mostly? Are you doing your trading on chart trading? Are you doing your trading on matrix? Or are you doing your trading on the trade bar above the TradeStation platform? Matrix. Okay, let's open up the matrix. I like the matrix too. Let's go here to matrix. Matrix. Let's see. Matrix, and you're trading futures. Okay, perfect. Let me open this up. Okay, and with the matrix, I also like to have my chart on the right-hand side. So let me just open up a chart analysis to fill this area on the right. Okay, okay, here it is. Let me go ahead and link the two windows together. Perfect. And let me change the symbol here to the ES. ESU24. Is that the front month? Okay, perfect. And now I have my chart here on the right-hand side already set to that symbol. Okay, so I'm going to set my quantity here to 2. So what we want this order to do. All right, so we want a trail profit and a stop using 2 contracts. First exits at fixed determined profit, and the second trails at a distance to capture max profit less distance. Yes, great. Let's do that. So we're talking about a bracket, a simple bracket that will protect our position. So we assume that we are in a position of 2 contracts, and then we have a profit target that is a fixed value, and then we have a stop loss, which is not fixed. It's a trailing stop from the get-go. So let's see how we can set that up right here in the matrix. For that type of trade, we need to use this checkbox that says attach an OSO. All right, so attach an OSO. And the template that we need is exit bracket with 1 limit and 1 stop. Can we do this in easy language as well? Yes. This order can be created using easy language. It's a little bit more elaborate because you have to program it in easy language. But yes, definitely, it can be done. Yes. Let me go here into the settings of this template, which is the 1 limit, 1 stop. I'm using this template because it has 1 profit target and 1 stop loss. All right, so let's go ahead and go here. We can see the 2 orders, and you can see the price offset. The price offset in here is 10 ticks or 10 minimum ticks. For the S&P E-mini, for those that trade futures, you know that it trades in quarters of a point. If you're trading stocks, it would have just a cents type of offset. So 10 cents away, 20 cents away. In this case, since we're using futures, there is a 10 in there, which means 10 minimum price increments or 10 quarters of a point, which is a total of 2.5 points if you're counting, whole points. Now I can modify that if I want to. Let's say, for example, that I want my target, let's set it to 20. So 20 minimum increments is 5 whole points, 4 quarters per point, so 4 times 5, 20, right? And our stop, let's suppose that we want to not use a price offset. We want to use a trailing stop for this. So we don't really have to enter the quantity in there because we're setting this as a trailing stop. So what we need to do is we need to come here to the far right and click on the little 3 dots on the right. There's an ellipsis button there. Maybe not so obvious, but there's a button there. You click on it, and this opens up this advanced settings. From there, you go to the trailing stops, and you can enter the points by which you want to trail. Now, maybe not so obvious either, but if you notice, it's asking for points, not for minimum price increments. I wish there was some consistency here, and you may be saying, well, why is one minimum increments and the other points? Don't ask me why. I always wanted these to be consistent. But over here on the price offset, you think in terms of minimum ticks. But when you come here to the trailing stops, now you have to think about in whole points. So if I want my trailing stop to be 3 points away and have it trail, you enter the quantity in there and click OK. Now this value that we put in here, the trailing stop value, overrides the 10 that is here. So don't be concerned about having a 3 point here and a 10 here, because this trailing stop checkbox that we enabled overrides whatever value is in here. I'm going to click OK to that, and that's it. Now, let me place this order with a 2 contract size. I'm going to buy at market. I get my confirmation. In the confirmation, I see that my exits are 5 limit. This is my 5 point limit. And my stop is a 3 points trail. I say yes.
Order filled.
I get filled, and you see my 2 orders in place. Look at the trail. The trail is moving, is at 55.23.25 at the moment. But if the market continues to go up, well, it's coming down to my stop right now. But if it moves up, then it'll move higher. By the way, my stops are my trade is also shown here on my chart. Let me make it a 30-minute chart so we can see more of it. You can see my orders visible here as well. All right, so it seems like my trade is going to hit my stop or not. So let's see what happens. What's the result of this trade? But hopefully, you know, Shafi, there's enough information there for you to set up this trailing stop. You just have to remember to go to that little dots, you know, on the right-hand side to set that trail. We're going to get stopped in a moment. But the same functionality, if you're a stock trader, you can do exactly the same. And if you're an options trader and trading only single leg options, you can also use the matrix and use this functionality as well. Very useful. But we should have our target. Yeah, our target is at $500. We're trading 2 contracts, 5 points each, $50 per point, $250 per contract. That's why our profit target here is $500. So using the matrix in combination with our charting makes a lot of sense. So make sure that you have them together. If you want to separate, you know, these 2 contracts into 2 separate targets, let's say that one is conservative and then the other is a little bit further down, you know, the price scale, you can do that, of course. So we can do this. Let me go ahead and cancel all. That cancels all active orders and leaves my open position. I'm not attaching anymore. I'm going to come down here and do an exit bracket with 2 limits and 1 stop. You know, you see the difference? One, you attach if you haven't opened up your position. So that's why you have to attach your exits to your entry. But now, since I already have a position open, I don't attach anymore. I go here and select an exit bracket. All I need to do is submit that exit bracket with 2 limits and 1 stop. Let's see. Now, what Shafi is talking about is a custom order. Notice what the description of the order is. First, we have 2 targets. We have one at 100 and another one at 300. But this is a different setup because now we have to set up a custom order. Why a custom order? Because we have the different behaviors. Because I think what Shafi wants to do is he wants to start with a fixed stop, right? We have a fixed stop. And then when it reaches the first target, I want to move that stop over to break even. And when it reaches the second target, I want to move I want to turn the stop into a trailing stop. So let's set up an order with 3 contracts so that we have those behaviors. One target moves to break even. Second target turns into a trailing stop. And then for the remaining contract. For that, we need a custom trade. So let's go here to the trade bar. On the trade bar, we're going to go to the drop down here for OCO OSO. And I'm going to build a custom OCO OSO. This is for everyone as well. I'm going to do a futures example, but you can use this functionality as well. The order that I want is an OSO, an order sent order, because we have the primary that sends the secondary. Before I do this, let me go ahead and close my position. I'm going to close by just clicking on this close button here.
Order filled.
Because I want my custom OCO to also take care of the entry. I'm going to come over here to the trade. Let me see how much time do we have, because I don't want to go over. Yeah, we can set this up in 5 minutes. Let's go to trade. OCO OSO, and that's where we find the custom OCO OSO. I want an order sent order OSO. And this is where we start sending or setting up our order. I'm going to call this ES 2 targets and trail stop. You can give your order a name, especially if you're going to be creating a custom order. Sometimes it's good to save it so that you can copy it and then change it around if you want to. So I'm going to type in the symbol here, ESU24. I'm going to buy 3 contracts. And from here, I start connecting exits using either a bracket or attaching single orders. A lot of times, I focus on single orders and then I can group them in an OCO if I need to. So I'm already selected on this primary order and I'm going to click on attach a single order as an OSO. This creates an indentation, make it clear, that this is a contingent order is attached to the primary. So I have to go back to the buying transaction and attach another one because I'm going to take care of the first 2 exits. So these are going to be both selling transactions. They're both going to be selling just 1 contract. That's my first target and my fixed stop. One is a limit, and it's going to be an offset from the primary fill. And let's go ahead and do minimum moves. Let's do 8. 8 minimum moves. That's a total of 2 points. And for the stop here, let's go to do a stop market order that has an offset from the fill. And we're going to do a stop or a fixed stop of 2 points too. So this is -8. Always remember to do a negative if it goes in the opposite direction, if you want it to be, below, so that it does that. The math has to be correct, So those are my 2 exits. What I need to do now is I need to combine those 2 orders into an OCO. Why? Because if one gets filled, the other one is going to get canceled. And I want the other to get canceled so that the new orders are submitted. So let me highlight the 2 orders. And I do that by clicking and dragging to highlight the 2 symbols. Right click, and I'm going to group this as an OCO. Does that make sense? If it hits my target, actually, no, my stop is for the 3 contracts. Yeah, if it hits my fixed stop, I want to exit my whole position. If it hits my target, which is right here for 1 contract, I want something else to happen. So from this one, which is the first target, I want to attach single orders. And I want to do 2 because I have my break even and I have my second target. Now I'm going to group these 2 into an OCO as well. So this is selling 1 contract. Now it's tricky because now it says offset from primary fill. Now the primary fill of this one is the order right above it, not the original one that we started the trade with. Well, we be mindful of that. So if we do an additional 8 move or 8 minimum moves, we're talking about an additional 2 points. For the stop, let's change this to a stop market. What we want is offset from the primary fill, and we want to do a -8. A -8 will bring us exactly to break even. Why? Our first target was exactly at 8 ticks, right? So if it reaches that first target, we are already 8 ticks above our entry. So from that point, if we set our break-even stop 8 points below, that's exactly our break-even price. That's why we have a -8 right there. Hopefully that makes sense. And from there, actually on this break-even, it's going to be for 2 contracts. Why? Because we already got filled on the first target. And then we just need 1 additional one. So I'm going to attach another single order, which will be my stop market. This will not have an offset from primary fill because it'll be a trailing stop. And I'm going to be trailing by a 1 point just to make it tight. Maybe let's trail by 2 points. So we're using 2 points in all our example. And this is it. By the way, my entry order to buy 3, let's set that as a market order so that it fills immediately. Let me send the order and see what this looks like.
Order filled.
Perfect. We got filled. It's going to hit our stop. Now the other, we have a break-even stop that is right here at the entry, which doesn't kick in until later. These 2 targets are also queued. The only active order is right now this stop right here at the bottom. Right? I may have done something slightly wrong, because we should have an active order up here. Maybe we do. It's just that there's multiple orders here. So let's go here to the trade manager to take a look. Apps, trade manager. Let me resize this. So you can see right here at the top that we do have 2 active orders. We have the blue one, which is the primary that bought 3 contracts. And then we have 2 active ones, which are the gray rows. The first one is to sell 1 contract at a target, and the other one is to sell 3 contracts at a stop. And notice that the other 3 are kind of queued. They're kind of a darker color. But this is the type of trade that you would just set it and leave it, because you have all the different scenarios. You know, if it reaches a target, then it sends a second target. If it reaches that target, then it moves your stop to break even. So it's a full, complete order.
Order filled.
Okay, it just filled us. I think it hit our stop, and that's why I noticed that everything else was canceled. Yeah, it sold the 3 contracts. You see how the order that was gray before, now it's blue. So it took us out. Now, the nice thing about giving this order a name is that you can go here to staged orders, and you can see that it wasn't staged. I gave it a name, but I didn't stage it, so it's not here in this dialog. However, you can go to the orders tab, right click on that order, and then copy to trade bar. So notice that it copies all the details to the trade bar exactly as you had submitted it. So it just saves you a little bit of time if you wanted to, you know, create this type of order. All right, I think we ran out of time. Wanted to give you a little bit of information on these questions, but this is a custom order. It's a little bit more advanced than, you know, regularly placing trades, buy and sells, which you can do on the matrix very easily. But if you want to have an order that has multiple behaviors or multiple things happening, then you may have to use this window to set that order up. Okay, but guys, Shafi and everyone else, Walid, thank you for your participation. Thank you for your questions. I appreciate them. The reason why we have this class every Wednesday is for you to have an opportunity to ask questions such as this that are a little bit more specific to your own personal trading style. So thank you guys for joining me today. Have a wonderful afternoon. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me today. Bye-bye.